The Celestial Academy floated in the zero-gravity zone between three star systems, a marvel of engineering that housed the children of a dozen different species. It was meant to be a place of unity, where young minds from across the galaxy could learn together in harmony. But harmony, Leia had discovered, was a fragile thing. She sat alone in the quantum physics lab, her human fingers working through equations that would have stumped most graduate students. At 16 Earth years old, she was smaller than most of her classmates, her brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, her dark eyes focused on the holographic display before her. She didn't notice when the door hissed open behind her. Well, the Deathworlder is here early again," came a familiar voice dripping with contempt. Leia's shoulders tensed. She recognized that voice. Zekthor, a Kralix male whose species had evolved on a low-gravity moon with an atmosphere so gentle that a strong breeze would send them into panic. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, his crystalline exoskeleton refracting the lab's blue lighting into rainbow patterns. Behind him stood 3 of his friends, all from species that had never known real danger. "I'm just trying to study," Leia said quietly, not turning around. "Trying to study?" Zekthor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You primitives shouldn't even be here. Your planet is a nightmare of poison air, crushing gravity, and apex predators. You're basically animals." Leia closed her eyes and took a slow breath. Her human biology instructor had warned her about this, the prejudice that came from being born on what the galaxy called a Class 12 death world. Earth, with its oxygen-rich atmosphere that could fuel unstoppable fires, its gravity that crushed the bones of most species, its weather systems that spawned city-destroying storms, and its biosphere packed with creatures designed to kill, was considered one of the most hostile planets in known space. "Please just leave me alone," she said. Instead, Zekthor reached out with one crystalline appendage and swept her datapad off the desk. It clattered to the floor, the screen cracking. Something inside Leia snapped. She stood up slowly, turning to face her tormentors. They towered over her, but she'd grown up playing rugby, hiking mountains, and swimming in oceans that would kill most of them in seconds. Her world had forged her from different steel. "Pick it up," she said, her voice level and cold. Zekthor's friends chittered nervously. There was something in her tone, something primal that their comfortable evolution hadn't prepared them for. But Zekthor, drunk on the power of his size and his friend's presence, made a fatal mistake. He reached out to push her. Leia moved. Her hand snapped up and caught his appendage in a grip that surprised them both. Growing up in 1G gravity had made her strong in ways these beings couldn't comprehend. She twisted, using leverage her wrestling coach had taught her, and suddenly Zekthor was stumbling forward off balance. "I said pick it up," Leia repeated. That's when Vito walked in. Commander Vito Reeves of the Human Diplomatic Corps had been assigned to the Academy as a cultural liaison, specifically to help human students adjust to galactic society. At 35, he'd seen combat in the Outer Rim conflicts, survived situations that would be classified as suicide missions for any other species, and had the scars to prove it. He was tall even by human standards, with gray eyes that missed nothing. He assessed the situation instantly. One human teenager surrounded by 4 aliens, broken equipment on the floor, and the distinctive defensive stance that spoke of imminent violence. "Leia," he said calmly, "let him go." She released Zekthor immediately, but her eyes never left the Kralix. Vito walked into the room with the easy confidence of a predator that had nothing to prove. The 4 aliens instinctively stepped back. "Now," Vito said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Who wants to explain why you're in this lab?" "She attacked me," Zekthor said, his voice rising in pitch. "The Deathworlder attacked me." Vito looked at the security footage display on the wall and tapped a command into his wrist device. The holoprojector flickered to life, showing the last 5 minutes in perfect clarity. He let it play in silence. When it finished, he looked at each of the 4 aliens in turn. Bullying, property destruction, physical intimidation, and attempted assault on a fellow student. He paused. On a human student. The way he said human made it sound like a title, something ancient and dangerous. "Do you know," Vito continued conversationally, "why humans are rare in the galaxy? It's not because we're few in number. It's because most species can't survive where we come from. Leia here?" He gestured to the girl who stood with her arms crossed, her jaw set. "She grew up on a planet where the atmosphere pressure would crush your carapace, Zekthor. where the local wildlife includes creatures that could hunt and kill all four of you, before you realized you were prey, where children learn to swim in waters that contain predators with thousands of teeth. He took a step closer to Zekthor, who tried to retreat but found himself against the wall. She showed you mercy, Vito said softly. She caught your arm and held it. Do you know what she could have done? With her bone density and muscle strength, she could have snapped it like a twig. She could have thrown you across this room. But she didn't, because unlike you, she's been taught restraint. The silence in the room was absolute. You will apologize, Vito said. You will replace her datapad. And you will never approach her again. If I hear of any further incidents, I will personally recommend to the Academy Board that you be expelled for hate crimes. Am I clear? The four aliens couldn't nod fast enough. Zekthor managed a stammered apology before they fled the lab like prey escaping a predator's den. When they were gone, Vito turned to Leia. Her tough facade cracked and he could see the teenager beneath, scared, angry, and tired of being different. You did good, he said gently. You showed control. That's harder than showing strength. I'm tired of this, Leia said, her voice breaking slightly. Tired of being called a primitive. Tired of being afraid to be myself because I might hurt someone by accident. Vito nodded slowly. I know, but you need to understand something, Leia. They don't bully you because you're weak. They bully you because they're terrified of what you represent. You're from a world that would kill them, yet here you are, thriving. You're a reminder that they're soft, that their safe little worlds have left them vulnerable. He picked up her broken datapad and examined it. I'll get you a new one. Military grade. It'll survive anything. Leia managed a small smile. Thank you, Commander. Call me Vito, he said. And Leia, next time someone pushes you, you have my permission to push back. Gently, of course. His eyes glinted with something that might have been humor, or might have been the cold calculation of a man who'd survived countless battles. Understood, Leia said, standing a little straighter. As Vito left the lab, he allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy would learn, slowly but surely, that humans weren't to be trifled with. Not because they were cruel or aggressive, but because they came from a world that demanded strength, and they had answered that demand for millions of years. The Deathworld had sent its children to the stars, and they would not be victims.